one of the more interesting things to me about CrossFit and why it works so well is what it does to our energy pathways. And basically the body has a few different ways of using its energy, all right, or a few different storages of energy that can be used, that can be tapped into when you work out. All right, so we're going to go over these energy pathways. It's not super important to remember or to memorize all the science behind it, but just kind of have a general understanding of what these energy pathways are and the ways they affect our fitness, or the ways they affect our levels of fitness, right? So let's draw a little graph up here, or a little chart, a little axis, if you will, on the whiteboard of our energy pathways. On my x-axis, I have time. Right? On my y-axis, I have energy, or power output. Let's put energy. It makes sense that if I work out for a very short duration, I'll be able to expel lots of energy, right? I'll be able to use up lots of energy. Rather than if I work out for a long duration, let's say 2 hours, it's impossible, it's very unlikely that I'm able to expel so much energy throughout that duration. So we have short duration times of working out, very high energy outputs. Think about things like sprinting 100 meters, 10 seconds, right? You're able to just use up all of your energy in that 10 seconds. This is our phosphogenic energy system. Again, it's not super important that you remember the words and the terms and the science behind all of this. It's just important that you remember, or that you kind of understand the basics behind it. So this is our phosphogenic energy system. It's basically what we tap into when we want to do a max lift, let's say a max snatch, or a very short sprint, or something in about 10-second window, in a 10-second window. All right. Next, we have this kind of middle distance. All right. So my middle distance energy system is my glycolytic energy system. This is what's normally used for the majority of workouts. This can be sustained for, let's say, 2 to 3 minutes, and then it begins to drop off, right? And it actually might go up a little bit higher than what I drew up here. It'll go up to about 70%, let's say, your energy, and then it starts to decrease. The last one we have is called the oxidative. The oxidative pathway is what a marathon runner would use, or if you were going to run a 5K. This is a very low energy level, but you're able to sustain it for huge amounts of time. All right? So looking at this graph, you have short duration, very high energy outputs, right? That's your phosphogenic. You have middle duration, okay? So 60–70% energy, and you're able to sustain it for a little bit more time, let's say like 2 to 3 minutes. And then your oxidative pathway can be sustained for times longer than 3 minutes, longer than 5 minutes, and it's going to be less energy output. All right? Now, let's just go ahead and draw up here a little different graph. We're going to redraw this, but we're going to think about specific tests. Right? Again, if I do a 1 rep max snatch, very short time duration, very high energy output, I can graph it up here. Okay? If I run a marathon, very long time duration, very little energy output. It's going to be over here. Right? 100-meter sprint, the same way. It's very much energy, very little time duration. I start creating all of these points on this graph. Let's say I do a 1-mile run, right? About 6 minutes for me. It's going to be 60–70% energy output, middle distance. So I can start tracking all of these different points along the graph. This kind of goes back to the fact that CrossFit's measurable, observable, repeatable. I have different benchmarks that we test, and we can graph them up here. How many pull-ups you can do in 2 minutes, right? 2-minute time period, how much energy is expelled. So I've got all of these different points on my graph. I draw a line through this graph, and it'll look something like this. It's going to be a curve down. So visually, we can see that more time duration, less energy. So where is this important for CrossFit? What are we trying to do? We're trying to get you more fit, right? Increase your fitness. What does that mean in terms of this graph? It means we're trying to push this line out. So if I make you more fit, I train you for a month, 2 months, 3 months, what I'm expecting is that you're able to hold these energy levels, these high energy levels, for longer time durations, right? You're able to expel a little bit more energy for these time durations over here. So what we actually end up with is a line that's been pushed out, right? If the area under one of these graphs, if I were to calculate this, right? I studied a little bit of engineering in college for about a year. If I were to calculate the area under this graph, that's my fitness. If I'm able to push this line out just a little bit more, then my area is increasing, my fitness is increasing. So again, it's one of the cool things about CrossFit. CrossFit's measurable, it's observable, it's repeatable, it's scientific at the end of the day. I can take all of these little points on this graph, these benchmark workouts, and test and retest again and see if we're able to push them out further and further. And if we do, then you're getting more fit. All right? So these are, I apologize for the sloppy graphs, but these are my energy pathways and why they're important to our fitness. Booyah.